Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of Microsoft Flight Simulator's Sceneries You Want. You guys seem to really enjoy that previous episode, so I've spent the last couple weeks here since the last video doing a couple of different flights from multiple locations, making sure to hit both 2020 and 2024. Now, I will give you guys the heads up, 2024 is definitely becoming the more prominent one when it comes to scenery makers. However, we have quite a few to show you guys today, so stick around. If you are interested in any of my tutorial guides for Microsoft Flight Simulator, or simply interested in supporting the channel, consider joining me on Patreon. Patreon subscribers level tier 2 and above have access to all of my guides as well as any future guides that come down the road. Patreon link can be found in the description below. Alright, so this first one, guys, takes us once again, I believe, back to Idaho. That definitely seems to be the place to fly. This is Sierra 90 or Elk City Lodge. It is an absolutely gorgeous location. I love flying into here. It's just one of those ones that as you come through the mountaintops and you start descending down, especially if on a cloudy day, I would say it's probably the most gorgeous on a cloudy day, because as you start coming down, the trees sort of start to light up, and then you just get this absolutely gorgeous location that makes you go, oh, whoa, whoa, I want to live there. I mean, you guys can see right here, I'm just looking at all this, like it's such a neat place. Like I look at this scenery, and these are the kind of places that I look for. As you guys will see, a very common theme with the maps that I like to fly to. Very isolated, very remote, but yet very gorgeous, very aesthetically pleasing. You have a sort of the modernization of the housing here with the gorgeous, sort of more... what's the word I'm looking for? Not log cabin, but more of that country style housing back here in the back. I'm willing to bet the high-speed internet is a bit harder to get a hold of back here, so please keep in mind. But one of the things I really do enjoy about it is you got a nice helicopter pad here, and you guys can see this is almost exactly where I put my aircraft. I park my aircraft right about here. It's a really awesome aircraft, especially for something like my personal favorite is still, and I think for the foreseeable time, will be the Duke. It's just that perfect location to fly to. It's got just enough runway to get it up and down, and yet just sort of makes you feel like a badass when you grease it on in. But it's just one of those absolutely beautiful sceneries that brings you into the countryside with just a stunning view as you leave the area. It's sort of one of those that, as you start to pull away from the area, it's like, I'll be back. Don't worry, honey. I'll be back to you again, So again, this is Sierra 90. This is Elk City, and it is absolutely gorgeous. Beautiful, beautiful region. And as always, a link to all of these will be down in the description below. And just a reminder, this particular one is for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. It shows no compatibility with 2020. Although I will give you guys little tips. Some of these I have been able to make work in 2020, but you try that at your own risk. Next one up is for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020, and this is A62 or A62 Edgerton Camp. This is up in southern Alaska, right near the coastline, a little bit further in. I shouldn't say quite near the coastline, but you can definitely see the water from the area. Alaska is one of those places that I absolutely love to fly into because it's so remote. It's so untouched, if you will, by humanity for the most part. And again, just like we were talking about with the previous scenery, you get a lot of those same aspects, that same sort of quiet, out in the woods. Again, you guys are going to see a theme with the places I like to fly. But the approach, as you can see, guys can see, there's the water. Like I said, you can see the water, but look at the approach. The approach is just too much fun. Something about just coming right between those tree lines, bringing it on in, especially when you come down through this way. It's just one of those, that you have one shot to hit it on the head, and if not, you are 100% going around, and you're going to make that decision very, very quickly. So it's also quite a challenging approach. Although it looks more wide from this range here, trust me, you guys are going to have an absolute great time coming into this one. This is another map where I mentioned in the previous segment that we did, or in the previous video, I should say, If you guys have not picked it up yet, I highly recommend the Parallel 42 Kit Fox. No, this is not a sponsored video, just for the record. I just genuinely do like that aircraft. And then combine it with the camp out kit. And you can use the stuff that's already here, where you can actually deploy your own sort of camp set. And it's just kind of a fun way to end your flight, especially like if you bring it in, before supper, go out, eat your meal, and then come back to your flight sim and pack everything back up, if you will, and take off. It's kind of a neat way to enjoy these kind of sceneries. But again, absolutely stunning, gorgeous area. I wish that I had thought to get more of these screenshots, and then flightsim.to. Unfortunately, I didn't even think to get my own here, but with more of the clouds. Again, it's another one of those really gorgeous areas that have a absolutely beautiful scenery with the a little bit of cloud cover too. The blue skies are great, but people, I think, undercut how much the clouds really do add to that. So keep that in mind. If you're flying in on a really clear day to any of these sites, mix it up a little bit, add some clouds to your scenery, and I think you guys will really enjoy it. So again, this is A62 Edgerton Camp, and this is for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020. So once again, we have another one. If you guys can't tell where I have been flying, based on actually a lot of you guys' recommendations, I do want to point this out. This is kind of you guys' fault. In my previous video, we did a couple of sceneries from Idaho, and I was told to keep digging, that there's tons of them out there, and you guys were not lying. This is 23 India Delta, so 23 ID, South Fork. Again, this unfortunately is for only Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. Actually, I think the remainder of them are for 2024. But anyways, moving forward, again, I'm going to let the scenery sort of speak for itself. You do have a hardened runway here, which is a little bit different than the others that I have shown here. All of the assets were created using only Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 assets, so you don't have to worry about any third-party packages, sceneries, or libraries in order to make it work. But you can see a ton of attention to detail was put into this one, and this, just like I've talked about before, is a really neat one to keep it low, keep it fast, come up over the horizon, over these mountaintops, and bring it in. One of the great ones is to come right around through this area and touch down. As you can see, a very, very narrow runway, making for also a challenging approach on top of just a gorgeous area. You do have places where you can put a helicopter, so that does make it a lot of fun too. So you have a couple of different options on how you want to approach this particular location. The night lighting was done absolutely fantastic, just the right amount of light for what you can expect to see from an area like this, and just the lighting is done in all the right places without any kind of bleed or over light, if you will, in areas where the lighting wouldn't belong. So they really did a wonderful job, and it has recently been updated. I actually just updated this one yesterday, flew back into it, and it looks, I mean, honestly, it looked stunning as it was, but it looked perfect. I do appreciate that. Again, you guys can see now this one has a little bit of weather added into it. If you guys can imagine what this would be like coming into like a thunderstorm or something like that, if you're coming in under heavy rain or low overcast, it would make that approach even more challenging than it already is. And again, it's not that it's hard. It's just one of those ones that it's not that plain, simple, boring, straight in approach. You can really have a lot of fun with it if you come around that mountain corner there, keeping it at a relatively low altitude and bringing it in. It's a lot of fun to fly into. And then you have your fuel where you can very easily come up, top yourself off, turn back around, head back out if you wanted to. But I highly recommend that you sort of just park it and just sort of soak up these sceneries when you guys do. All right, this next one again is for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and this is Sierra 16 Copalis State Airport. Now, this one is actually kind of interesting. I didn't even know things like this existed. I don't even know how they exist, because you would think that the sand is too hard for or too soft for this. But this airport exists up in Washington State, in Grays Harbor County. There's only one runway, runways 14 and 32, about a mile above the sea level. As you guys can see, a lot of scenery additions have been added to this to try to bring the airport scenery around it to life, but you've got an airport right there, just a matter of feet away from a full-on beach. That, again, to me is rather impressive. I would be very concerned about landing on a place like this, but I will say that coming into the landing was actually relatively easy, and I'm sure in part for that is just simply the nature of Microsoft Flight Simulator, probably not modeling the sand as well as it could. However, It is a real world airport. It was actually the reason why this was added back in is because it was a missing airport from Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024, and so this developer decided to add it back in. I happened to stumble on this one by accident as I was looking through the Alaska and Washington regions, again trying to look for those more secluded airports, and stumbled across this guy and was like, wow, this is a real thing, to the point where I actually had to look it up on Google to see if it was in fact a real world airport that was that close to the beach. Now, I totally understand that there are plenty of airports out there that are near water and things like that, but I just found that I sort of anticipated that near a beach, the sand would be different. The terrain wouldn't offer exactly an ideal situation for landing an aircraft, but sure as hell, I had to put my foot in my mouth, and it is real and exists, and was a lot of fun to fly into. Nothing particularly challenging about it, as you obviously are right on the coastline, plenty of ways to approach, no real concerns there. The aircraft touches down without any real issue, but again, what I really do appreciate about this particular location is A, at sunrise or sunset, setting that mood, if you will, have the Mr. or Mrs. next to you as you fly into this one, and you're sure to have a very good evening. Make sure you bring a nice hamburger or something for dessert and dinner. Anyways, and yes, I said hamburger for both. But this is definitely a lot of fun to fly into. I really like all the effort, again, that was brought into bringing the scenery to life. The people, the cars, you know, it's really nice to see those kind of situations and sceneries in the simulator, because we always have these beautiful sceneries, but a lot of them are really lacking that sense of human life. Sometimes you're looking for that, sometimes you're not. But again, here's the top-down view of this particular shot, and you guys can see, like I said, very, very easy to bring the aircraft into, not particularly challenging at all. Although I don't know that I would put my plane right here, especially when you have the sea line or the tide line right there, but that's just me. I'd probably park it back up over here. But anyways, that again, you guys, is Sierra 16 Copalis State Airport. And save the best for last. This was by far the most fun that I enjoyed flying into. This was another one that I actually just stumbled on over the weekend and was really, really impressed by this one. This one is a beautiful one to fly into. And this is 8 Kilo Sierra 8 Prarie Cottage in Chapman, Kansas. Again, an extremely well done scenery for Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024. I know that 2024 is, unfortunately, guys, not where many of us still want to be, but it is becoming the more dominant of the flight simulators as 2020 begins to phase its way out. Make no mistake, I am still absolutely flying 2020 as often as I can, but I will admit, when it comes to the graphics and sceneries, 2024 does have a little bit of an edge, and you have to go where the development follows. But we still have sceneries that I want to dig up for 2020. I'm going through some of my own personal collections in this next video that we put out next week. So here it is, guys, looking absolutely beautiful. A ton of work and a lot of detail was put into the creation of this particular scenery, which is why I saved it for last. Again, bringing that life that we were talking about in every single one of these. You have people walking around, you have animals, you have tractors, you have farmland, you have the overall just scenic view of this is a farm country, this is alive, there are people doing things that you can tell that, you know, at sunset you get that feeling that the day is coming to an end, that the area is starting to quiet down, but again, there's life. And I really, really enjoyed this one. This was an absolutely beautiful one to just, before you come into land at this one, do a circle around the area, fly around the different locations here, you know, really get down low. Again, this was one of the cooler aspects of this. I actually really enjoyed this. It was nice to see. It was a really cool one to fly into because of the life that was brought to the scenery, and I'm gonna emphasize that. That should maybe be the emphasis of today's video, is life in the sim. But again, here it is from the top down view. Absolutely stunning work, a lot of attention to detail, and a really, really beautiful place to fly into if you guys are looking for somewhere fun to fly. I know, again, Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 is sort of a frustrating point still to this day, and I'm not going to lie, and this will be a topic for another video, but with the introduction, or possibility and likely introduction, of the PS5, I think it's going to really, unfortunately, crush Microsoft Flight Simulator 2024 for PC users as it was designed to be. Now, what I mean by designed to be is PC users is unfortunately where this shines. To you console flyers, that is not a shot at you in any way, shape, or form. I think that many of us would just simply agree that for console and PC, the releases should have been separate. There should have been one release for console console and one release for PC. But again, that's a debate and argument for another day. I hope you guys have enjoyed this list of sceneries that you want to fly into in Microsoft Flight Simulator 2020 and 2024. I know we only had one dedicated to 2020, and I promise in the next one I will have that more balanced, or maybe I'll just do a 2020 only video here coming up. But as always, folks, stay safe and healthy, and I'll see you in the next one.